Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Micah Hoffman, and you are joining the OSINT Curious live stream. Today, I have at least two of my wonderful OSINT Curious colleagues. We'll have some other ones joining us. They've got some other commitments, but they'll be joining us later on. Stephen, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi everyone, it's Stephen Harris, also known as Nick's Intel. I'm really looking forward to our show this evening. The live stuff has been great so far this week, and I'm looking forward to another one. It's been awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Let's let Technozet introduce herself, and then we can talk about how awesome it's been.
Hi everyone, it's Lizette, also known as Technozet, and also looking forward to having a lot of fun live today.
Yeah. So, Technozet, were you on with us this week? I think one day maybe, or did you?
I was Monday, and the rest of the week was hectic. But cool. I was Monday, and I really enjoyed it. I love doing the GeoGuessr and doing the live questions from all of the people who were watching. I thought it was a very good format, and I think we should do it again sometime this year.
Whoa. What do you mean sometime this year? Stephen and I were talking before the broadcast. We thought that it might be fun to start with GeoGuessr for this live stream.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes, all right. And also...
no, just repeat the whole thing, that we were live for the whole week.
Yeah.
And maybe do that again somewhere this year. Do a full live week again. I thought it was a lot of fun, because people who are normally... have their hands full or are busy on Sunday evenings, they might have time to hang out with us during the week, and that will give them the opportunity.
Technozet, I can't say no to you. So here's what I'm going to do. How about March 15th through the 19th, just next month? Actually, March is tomorrow, but March 15th through the 19th at, let's say, 1300 hours UTC instead of 1800 hours. How about we do this again and live stream all week? Would that be good?
Yes, because that would be an awesome time for me to make it.
Hey! Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be stuck with my family life and work.
With my family life.
This will be perfect.
When your kids are old enough to listen to these live streams, Mom, look what I found on the old internet. It's you talking about how you hated us. No, but seriously, for all of you that are just joining us, we are OSINT Curious. At least 3 of the members, and we love open source intelligence. And on the screen right now at the bottom is our website, osintcurio.us or osintcurious.com, whatever's easiest for you. Also, you can find us on all the major platforms. We are OSINT Curious on them. And if you want to continue the conversation with us outside of the live stream, go ahead and hit us up in the Searchlight Discord. That's where we are. You see the bit.ly link right there. And then lastly, if you want to sponsor us for as little as $1 a month, please consider becoming a Patreon patron of ours. And please subscribe too. Also, say hello to us. This is you have the chats so if you're on Periscope or Twitter, if you're on Twitch or you're on YouTube, give us a shout in the comments. This is interactive between you and us. So, Abdul Monim, welcome. Thank you for saying hi to us. All right, and other people too. I don't know if other people, our other loyal listeners are here, but we'd love to hear from you as well. Okay, so all week we've been doing this live stream. I had a lot of fun and learned a lot of things too. It was great. We had a lot of different guests on here, or a lot of different OSINT Curious members. And each day that we did this, we started out doing the GeoGuessr game. So I think we're going to do that again. Let's get to it. Now, for those of you that don't know, hey, Robin, hello. Yeah, Craig, we have been busy. We have. So here's the deal. And for this, if you've been following us at least some of the time this week, or if you caught the videos of us of what we did, you'll know that the GeoGuessr game is a free game that you can use to help refine your geolocation, image analysis, kind of almost video analysis skills by examining what's shown in the images and then figuring out where in the world, country and city, the images are taken. Now, GeoGuessr uses the Google Maps platform and Google Street View to put you in a certain place in the world. So what we're going to do is the same thing we've been doing all week, and we're going to do the daily challenge, which is 5 rounds of 3 minutes each. So we have 3 minutes to figure out where in the world we are, and we need your help because I'm getting better, but I'm nowhere near as good as I should be. And luckily, I've got my experts here, Stephen and Technazet. Stephen, Technazet, y'all ready?
Yeah, ready.
Bring it.
Okay, so let's figure out where in the world we are. Hang on, wait 1 second. Oh, wait. Hang on. We have a couple other OSINT Curious members that are going to be joining us in just a second. I don't want to throw them in here. You know what? Let's just go. I feel sassy. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so let's get started. We'll do 1 round and then they can join. Here we go. Just shout out where you think this is and why.
Ooh.
This, let's see.
The yellow
looks like Africa.
Yeah.
Africa, but I mean, it's like really good paved road.
There's a sign there.
Uh-huh. Oh, let's see. Yeah. There we go. Let's see what the sign says.
Oh.
I think that looks more
like Italian.
Spanish. Oh, wait.
It says,
Helena, Montana, right there. It says right there on the
yeah.
bottom. Helena, Montana. Well, this one's going to be an easy one. Let's find Montana in the United States. And, the capital of Montana is Helena. Now, the question is, do we want to get any more precise?
It bothers me that those signs aren't in English.
What's that?
It bothers me that the signs aren't in English for somewhere that's in the States. But then it's got an address on there, so yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Hey,
Zevin. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it isn't Helena, Montana, but I mean that's.
And does that look like Montana?
It does. It does. It looks like the United States here with the road and such. We have a minute 49, so we have something.
So driving on the right.
Jesus transports. Yeah, that's not. I mean that's
Viucolongo. That's
no,
like Portuguese or.
But it could still be that the car just drove through or something.
No, this is not the United States. Okay. Where is this? Zevin, help us out. I mean, Zevin's been awesome this whole week. But let's see. So it's not Helena, Montana. Okay. Is there another Helena? That would be Portuguese. Where's Ernesh? Oh, damn it. I'm seeing nothing here. Okay. Thoughts? I'll probably go like Brazil.
It's probably Brazil.
So Portuguese,
I got
Brazil
the Forenza Santo Antonio from the sign. And it's actually from a coffee plant. Coffee plant?
Oh, we're not supposed to be Googling. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Didn't tell you. So where's it?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I know.
Somewhere
but
where they grow coffee.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think we're going to Brazil. Anywhere? Brazil, white number plates. Okay. So I'm just going to put this in the middle and we'll guess there and then we'll add our other.
There we go.
Not too bad.
Not bad.
Not too bad. Thank you, Robin. All right. I'm going to go ahead and add our resident Portuguese expert here. Hey, Anish.
Hi, everyone.
We just had a license plate or we had some signs that were in Portuguese and we're like, oh, is this Portugal or Brazil? We figured it out. It was Brazil.
Okay. Well,
but now that you're here,
no, you didn't need me. You didn't need me. You guys are amazing.
You know what? We did need you. We just channeled our inner kind of Anish, and we're like, where would she have picked? We did see a lot of Jesus in that last one, right? Okay, so hey, Greg, welcome. Yeah, and for those of you that are just joining, say hi to us in the chat. We love talking with y'all. All right, Anish. Sorry, Technazet, I didn't confirm the rules. We're not supposed to be Googling or researching this.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all up here. And we did pretty well.
I will leave my
because it's a huge country. Now.
It is. All right, here we go. Round 2. Shout out where you think it is. All right. So we have
Middle East somewhere.
Middle East
or North Africa.
Okay.
This is
the flags. What
Iranian flag, right?
Isn't?
I thought so. I'm afraid to Google.
I don't think that there's Google Street View in Iran. I don't think there's Street View in Iran. All right, so let's see.
Oh,
and there's also a lot of English. There's also a lot of English for Iran. I don't picture them doing
the
a lot.
United Emirates. How do you say it?
UAE.
Yeah, probably.
Could be.
Yeah,
it's like the.
Oh, which way are we driving? Let's see. So here we're driving on the right side of the road. Whoa.
Giveaways, traffic. Okay.
What does it say on the?
A lot of countries in that part of the world have the same color flag.
All right.
I'm just
Help us
embarrassed
out,
that
listeners.
I don't. I'm just embarrassed that I don't know which flag it is. Which
Okay.
I should.
Well,
I mean,
but we're in an.
You know, at the beginning of Facebook, there was
Oman to the right.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Okay. Palestine.
Oman. That's on the right-hand side of
UAE. Okay, people are saying UAE. Okay, what part of UAE right now? Let's see. Let me find Oman right here. You say UAE. Are we closer to Dubai?
I think you need to be. We need Laurent for this, by the way.
Yeah. What the heck? Where is he?
Where is he?
Wait. So it says Algier, Oman. Where's Algier, Oman?
Isn't Oman more to the left?
Oman is right over here, but they're saying it's UAE on the way to Oman because this is maybe not in Oman yet. Okay, so everybody's saying UAE. We have 1 minute left. Whole bunch of shops. Anything else that can tell us where? English and Arabic. Okay, thank you, Robin. Robin says, for those of you that are listening, Robin says English and Arabic that we're seeing on the maps tends to be UAE. Okay. But we need a city. We have 52 seconds. So north.
Near a border.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good town. So maybe I'll go up a little bit higher.
And you have the mountains, so it shouldn't be.
Okay. I like that position close to the border. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, no, it's all the way up north.
Well, we were closer than the previous one because we were 500 kilometers off.
Yeah, so for those of you that are listening, 145 kilometers away, which is pretty good. All right, thank you, everybody. Okay, so the things that we're learning here is UAE has English and Arabic. They drive on the right-hand side. I think we should do like a little recap after each one of these episodes just to show what we learned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's see. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Next round. And we're off. Okay. This feels
Europe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Northern Europe.
Psychopaths.
Oh, sorry. It's blurred out, but it definitely looks European Union with the blue area and then white. Okay.
Oh,
Belgium. Yeah.
And we have the bike path. We have a bike path and a walking path there.
Oh, so is that a letterbox there, that red thing?
Yeah.
But it's not very common, though.
No.
Not common.
You move further down the...
Moving down the street.
This is not a Dutch
Holland.
It's not Dutch?
No, this is not typically
Belgium.
Dutch. It's probably Belgium.
Hang on.
Or Germany, maybe? There's a sign.
Yep. Gonna zoom in and...
Oh, no, it's just a city map, probably.
All right, so you're thinking Germany? Let's see if we can go down here.
Are there mountains?
I'm thinking, I mean, this is pretty flat area. It could be.
It could be Belgium.
It could be Belgium, yeah.
Belgium?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I went down the wrong way. Sorry. All right, so let's go down. Oh, wait, what's that say?
Oh.
No, that's... Oh, Strut. Yeah.
That's Strut. Yes, it's definitely Belgium.
Yeah.
Graven, Bosch.
Yeah, so that's going to be... Because Belgium's bilingual, isn't it? So northern Belgium.
On the left side. Yeah, northern on the left.
Oh, and just so you all know, somebody over here removed their house from Street View. If we look up here, you see that right there?
Yeah.
That is Google filtering that property, which tells us that something or someone has tried to mask that identity.
Oh, yeah. Someone's just made a good point, actually, that Germany doesn't have Street View.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're definitely in Belgium.
Yeah. So for outside of the big cities.
All right. So we have 1 minute left.
Go further down. There's
something right here. Katem. And that's Roosdal. Right?
Roosdal.
Yeah.
What is that? That's
there you go. You're Dutch, you know.
Yeah, I know. I am.
All right. So Netherlands,
Half Dutch.
Belgium.
So where is this though?
It's going to be the part of Belgium that's closer to the Netherlands.
Yeah, to the Netherlands.
They
I would
speak
go
Dutch
round about Turnhout.
Where?
Somewhere up, because Roosendaal is also in the Netherlands, and it's more on the right side though.
Okay, so more over here.
Is it Turnhout? Yes.
Turnhout. Yep. Okay, here we go. 22 seconds. 77 kilometers. Wow.
Good skills.
Closer to Brussels. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it was closer to Brussels. I forget how small the countries are. You know, it's like you were 77 kilometers away, but it looks like a large distance there.
Yeah.
Nice. That was a great one. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we learned that Berlin is covered with Street View, but the rest of Germany is not. We've also learned that in Belgium, they have in some places the bicycle lanes as well as the roads and stuff like that. Anything else we learned that round?
The traffic signs were on green and red poles.
Okay. And
I'm
the
not sure
orange.
if this is typically Belgium.
And whenever I see the orange shingling on people's houses, I'm thinking that's definitely Europe. All right, here's the round. Okay, I see deciduous trees. There's a sign right here that says
Lange.
That
Langenose.
So the question is
Langenhose.
Yeah.
Maybe Switzerland?
I don't know. Well, let's see what we see here. We're going to go down this way. There's Switzerland. Look at the flags.
That's Denmark.
Denmark.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Switzerland is the other.
Well, that could just be somebody. I guess
that's Danish. See that that O with a slash through it on the side? That's a Danish
have ice
language
cream though.
Okay, so we see an ice cream place that has Danish writing. Okay, so the question is where in Denmark? Hang on. Maybe this says like the church of the something. Gallery
breakfast.
Cafe, bed and breakfast. Okay. Well, it's in English too. Is that common?
I've been to Denmark once. They speak pretty well English.
Okay.
But it was in Copenhagen, so it was the capital city.
All right. So here we're going through these roads, and any thoughts from our audience? We're picking up Denmark, but we're not sure where in Denmark.
Well, it's not like it's clearly outside a city area, and Denmark has quite a big, population. Well, it's quite small country for the population, so it shouldn't be very close to Copenhagen, I would say.
It's quite a flat country too, Denmark, I think.
So let's go up here to Denmark. All right, so we're thinking over here on the western side, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Or right here in the middle.
Or maybe on the one of the islands.
All right, so Zevin, you're gonna have to. Oh, there we go. Okay, so
Silkeborg-ish.
Left of our house. Yes, I got it. Left. I understand west. Telling me left. Okay, so anything else here that tells us? We see agriculture. Yeah. All right. Let's just give this a try. See what we got. 170. Oh, it's not. It was back over south of Copenhagen, but still in Denmark. Well done on the country.
That's a pretty good score, actually, then.
Yeah, it is. It is 179 kilometers. All of our scores this round or this challenge have been pretty good.
We were also lucky because we got at least the last one's always with a flag. You can't get much better than that.
I think it's fun. All right, here we go. Next round. This is the last round too. All right. And this, so Stephen, myself, and Sector yesterday played around, and we were like, let's go to Australia. And Australia was just terrible. It was just these long, wide open spaces like this. Okay.
It could be
I would
anywhere.
say it's not like in the south, in the southern, like because of the.
This is not United States because we're talking about meters here on this sign.
And it has like reindeer, so it's probably like higher than France or higher.
What is this? What is this type of feature? Is it a
railroad
crossing, right?
Yeah, England wouldn't have meters, I would say.
That's definitely not the UK.
Point taken.
Okay.
Yeah.
I maybe only said it because the weather didn't look that good.
Can we see gray spots? It's gotta be.
It's like a gray sky, so it must be England.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
It could be like northern
Steven.
France. Or, no, you're not wrong. It's like.
All right. So anything, a bollard. Zevin, tell me more about that. There's these are bollards. Yeah.
Oh, there's
a sign.
It's a sign.
Oh, sorry, I went too far.
Is this going to be Denmark again?
No, it can't be. It would be impossible. Let's see. We've got. Ooh.
No.
What? So it has a umlaut. Is that an umlaut?
Yeah. But it's not.
Could it be Poland?
Okay, so we're seeing a sign. It says SALO.
Go further down the road. There's another sign.
Okay, Salanta.
Yeah.
Mekirk, but with.
Is that a border over there, or is that like a factory?
Oh, I can't go over there.
How do you say the highway?
Interchange.
Pay?
Yeah.
No, where you have to pay.
Hungary.
Toll booth.
I think it's a border. It looked like because you can't go there.
Nope,
Okay,
I can't.
weird.
I can zoom in. There we go. Mekirk. Anybody? Hungary? Adam? Croatia?
Okay. Yeah, it could be.
I would go for it.
Yeah.
Go for Hungary.
Hungary?
Let's go for Hungary. Yeah.
But does Mekirk mean? Does it mean like border, or does it mean like the city? Is that a city? I have no idea.
No clue.
No.
Help us out.
That wasn't that. There's somewhere in the top right of Hungary beginning with N. Was that not what was on the sign before that?
Right there?
Yeah. I might be wrong with that, not checking, but.
Yeah, it could be. I have no idea.
Go for it. We have 20 seconds left.
Okay, there we go.
Wow.
Damn, that was really good, people. Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
It was the border of Hungary and Romania. Right there.
Was,
and there's the city right there.
You see?
Wow, nice. So Adam said Hungary. Nice. Well done, Adam. And very good. Let's take a look at how we did. 21,000 points. So there's a maximum value of 25,000 points here. And 21 is definitely good. So well done, people.
Woo-hoo.
Well done. Oh, that was really cool. For those of you that are just joining us, we are the OSINT Curious Project. On the screen right at the bottom is our URL to our site, our username or handle that we go by. We have a link to the Searchlight Discord, and we have a link to our Patreon page if you want to sponsor us. We are here with, let's see, Stephen, Technizet, Dinesh, and one of the things that we are going to do is, well, we just did our warm-up, and thank you for helping us out with that. But now let's maybe transition to discussion, since we do have some very diverse backgrounds here. Some of the people that we've talked with in the past have asked us to talk about a couple of things. One, collaboration with peers. So instead of doing open source intelligence gathering and analysis and all of that by yourself, how do you do it? And what are some of the challenges when you have peers involved or teams and groups? And then the second thing that we wanted to talk about also was longer term investigation. So instead of, hey, I found this person, I'm good, talking about those long-term assessments that we've conducted and what happens on them. So how about if we start out with collaboration and we talk about some of the challenges that we have and some of the benefits of collaborating with others in our work. Anybody want to start? Because I know that we've got some law enforcement. We've got, actually all of you are law enforcement. Wow. So what are your thoughts? I would imagine that each of you has done open source intelligence in a team format. Yes?
Yeah. I think one of the, and I don't know how this matches up with everyone else's experiences, but I think one of the difficulties is around decision making, because obviously in an OSINT investigation, you're constantly working through that intelligence cycle and making decisions. But often when more people are involved, there's a lot more data, but then the decision making about what you do next and what's a priority becomes a little bit more complex. So sometimes there are even disadvantages to working in groups, but then sometimes scale is necessary.
Okay. So we heard scale, priorities. So I would imagine that when you
communication.
Okay, tell me more about communication. Like who's doing what, or what you found, or what?
Especially what you found and where you have been looking. So to prevent that I will be diving into a person again because somebody else already did all of the work. If you document it well, and there are a couple of ways to do so, I guess. If you just document it well, then whenever I need to pick up the investigation, I can just see what somebody else has done already, and I know I do not need to dive into a specific person, company, location, whatever.
Okay.
For me, I would say, besides of what Stephen and Technisat have said, working in a team, for me, the biggest challenge was to kind of try to do the balance between the great advantages of having like multi qualities, like people from different backgrounds with different views, and all the richness you can get from that, from different opinions, different ways of seeing things. But also you need to be aware that once you're having different people doing different tasks in an investigation, that it's very easy to lose like to have that centralized perspective on an investigation. And I remember very clearly one case where we had this target, and there was one person like doing all, like all his social media stuff and everything, and there was another person doing like more intel kind of stuff, and they didn't communicate that well for some reason, or you can't actually also like say every step that you took. But I remember that one of them was going back, like passing through the other guy of the social media computer, and he was like, "Oh my God, that's his cousin." And he was like, "What? Are you joking?" He's like, "Yeah, no, I just saw." And we were lucky because that could have very easily gone biased, just because you had two people that. And so I would say that it's once you're working on a team, it's really important that you keep on communicating. You try to be very brief on when you're saying stuff, because you can't have like constant meetings, but you need to be very sharp to like not let things go by. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge to get both things connected.
So what I'm hearing is that bringing other people's views and expertise and experience into the mix can help break open cases, especially when you're working on a team. You have that extra other person to kind of sanity check what you've done. So I guess one of the questions is, how do you balance out what Technisat was saying with what you were saying? You know, you want to make sure you don't duplicate effort, but you do want to make sure you get multiple eyes on the significant pieces of data so that you can have those aha moments. So, I mean, within your organizations, I'm not asking you to go ahead and give us exact processes or anything, but did you have processes where you had kind of that collect, okay, we're going to do our gathering, let's present it to the team, let's get the feedback, and then generate new collection goals? Or no?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it again, it depends on the organization and how it's set up, but having because you have a rank structure. It might not be like formal ranks like you get in the military or the police, but you have to have one person who's accountable for everything that's going on ultimately in the investigation. So yeah, you have all those aha moments, and you do your analysis and you report it back and brief everybody. But what happens next will usually be the decision of one person who will then retask you, because ultimately someone has to be accountable for the investigation.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you need that leader. You need that somebody to
absolutely
say,
yeah.
Here's the direction. Here's what we have. Here's what we need. Here's how much time we have left.
Yeah.
Okay. And help determine those priorities. Have you all ever worked on a team where there hasn't been a leader? And did it go well or did it not go well? Or most of the time
in my limited experience of doing things without leaders, they're good for short-term quick hit stuff. So like crowdsourced OSINT projects are really good, but as they get more complex, you need to have someone who's calling the shots, and democracy doesn't always work very well in that situation. So sometimes if it's too much of a level playing field, and you need someone to step up and say, actually, we're doing this, and set the direction for where you go next.
One of the things I really dislike in working in a team is duplication of effort. And you mentioned it, Technozet. It's that, hey, everybody, I just spent 3 hours going through all the Facebook. Yeah, I did that like this morning. Oh, I didn't read your notes. Sorry. And you have 3 hours that are wasted on the case. And I would imagine that over the course of a longer term investigation, there may be more times when you have that type of thing happening as well. Do you have you noticed that with longer term investigations, either when you're working as a team, you do have duplication of effort sometimes, or maybe you all have your strengths? And so, Technozet, you are amazing on Facebook. So you've got the Facebook covered, and everybody else does outside. Do you have like a swim lane that you stay in, or how does it work?
I would say that it's very important that you have certain work processes, even though you have to be flexible, that you sometimes need to get a little bit out of the box and search for it in different places. But if you have like a work process that's more or less like a guideline to what are the steps that you should take in a certain investigation, like from a starting point, from a selector, like a phone or a person or like an organization, an address. And if you have that, it's easier to get things organized. And if you have like a shared checklist, everyone can more or less check what they've done and their conclusions, like short conclusions. So you don't have that. Another thing that I face that in our genealogy research, we actually face that, which is we get researchers doing like the same family tree like 3 and 4 times, and we got to this conclusion that this was a problem because we were repeating each other's works. So now what we have is we just write as a selector, as a starting point, like the person where the family tree starts in our Slack channel, and we go like, okay, I've done this tree of this person. So before me starting a tree, I will just go to the Slack channel and check for that name. And if it's not there, I know that nobody's done that research. So this was like our own method. But I would say that every selector could have a different way, but it's important to keep certain selectors in writing, like I've done this for this Facebook ID, or I've done this for this, so that it's somewhere in the system, and you know for which keyword you need to know to search for it.
And for those of you listening in, that's probably a private Slack that Inesh is in. It's not a public genealogy Slack. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that would be correct.
Okay. Because we'll get questions. What Slack is that? Well, that she's on. Just like, all right, this is her work Slack. So Technozet, Stephen, I mean, what about collaboration? Let's see. So Sprocket here, or Sprocket. I'm going to say it's Sprocket. It says that, in their managed security service provider, they tend to split areas of focus, but you have to closely update people. So updating people makes me think of a central location for your data. When you work as a team, are you collecting the data locally and then eventually and updating some master document, or you have a case management system, or maybe not you, but other people in the field? I mean, it can be anybody.
We do have a case management system, and what we mainly do is that if we work together on a case, we put all of the important headlines in there, and then together with the people you are a team with who do the OSINT research, you communicate closely on what you've done.
Okay.
That's Stephen? Probably all I could say about it.
That's all right. It's good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, the size and scope of what you're trying to achieve. I mean, in my background, obviously, I did a lot of OSINT stuff, but in big investigations, OSINT would usually just be like one stream within the wider investigation. And say like, I don't know, in a murder inquiry, for example, you would want to do OSINT on the people involved. But a murder inquiry could generate thousands and thousands of documents, and like tens of thousands of actions will come out of the team leaders. I want this, I want this, I want this, over a long period of time. And so you have to have a case management system to do with anything like that. Otherwise it gets messy. But smaller scale investigations, talking nothing more complex than putting it in a Dropbox or equivalent and sharing it with people, need to be no more complicated than that.
Okay. So I'll share. So I don't have law enforcement experience. I have corporate OSINT experience, and also have some. Actually, I know that some of you have done like CTFs, where you might have been working as a team. So in those less formal places, Google Docs. I've had so in my SANS class that I teach, we have a CTF, and the teams that I've seen are the most successful in the end of the course CTF are the ones that collaborate during the process by putting things and organizing things in a single document, whether it's a case management system or whether it's something like Google Sheets. If your open source intelligence data is okay to be in Google Sheets or a OneNote, but everybody putting in stuff into a single document instead of creating your own stuff and then somebody having to deconflict and combine everything later on. Same thing for you when you're doing the CTFs or the non-work related things, or not?
I still think Google Docs is pretty good, or whatever equivalent, but having central documents where you can record like what you've done, what still needs to be done, what your next steps are that everyone can edit and update is awesome, and it scales reasonably well actually until you get super complicated.
Okay. So what about those longer term assessments? What about when you have a case that lasts for months and even longer? Are there special things that you have to watch out for, or special things you do, like with communication or with collaboration or with collection goals, that are different from the shorter term investigations? TechNazette?
Well, not per se on when I'm doing a long-term research. Most of the time, those are the cases I'm not working together with other OSINT researchers. Okay. So I will be the sole provider for the case. I love to use Hunchly. Hunchly is a tool which helps you record all of the steps you take when doing an OSINT investigation and highlight certain things I'm looking for. Because over the course of months, I get a lot of names, I get a lot of locations, companies, whatever kind of information I need to go search on. And I work on multiple cases at once. So when there's one that has a long term, like after a month, maybe somebody asks me a question again and I need to like dig into my memory. Oh, what was this case about? And who are the most important people? And by highlighting that in Hunchly, I have the opportunity to, whenever I'm searching and a name, let's say I'm asked to investigate a name of a person. And when I'm investigating that person's name, a name of somebody who I've looked at maybe 2 months ago suddenly pops up. But maybe it doesn't, I don't see it, or it doesn't get enough attention for me. But because it's highlighted by Hunchly, I immediately see, hey, I've looked at this before. This is of importance. I have to dig further into this specific link. So that helps me a lot.
Okay.
I think TechNazette spoke about something that we don't appreciate or value enough in organizations, and I've seen it make the complete difference in success of certain projects, which is like people's memories. You can have the best database and you can have, but there's nothing like your mind. And this brings up also something that's really important in OSINT, which I haven't met anyone in OSINT that doesn't love what they're doing, right? And usually when people leave a company or they leave something, it can be for several reasons, but it should never be because like things didn't go as, or at least we hope it's not because things didn't go as they planned or something. And I think sometimes organizations, they will say like, oh yeah, we just lost an expert, I mean, there's probably 10 people that have his CV, and they forget about that person's value in terms of memory. And especially in these long-term research projects, this is so important, because there will come this person from 10 years ago and they will look at your report and say like, that guy 8 years ago in Italy, he was arrested for blah, blah, blah. And you'll go like, what? okay, but that wasn't in the database. And he will go like, yeah, maybe we didn't write it, or especially because many organizations have just started like collecting more data. So like 15 years ago, they didn't have it. And I think it's also something that we should bring to the table more often, which is the person's value in terms of their like knowledge, their acquired knowledge of how much they already know about like certain networks or certain types of crime, if you're doing criminal investigation or whatever you're doing. So yeah, I would say that's also like super important, especially in long-term investigations.
Well, and that also is important because in general, we put in the selectors in Hunchly, or we put in our notes what we feel is important, those objective facts and other things that we're seeing and images that we're collecting, what we feel is important to the case. However, we're seeing people that may be important, just we don't have that additional information. So when I look at something, I go, oh, I know that guy, he's this, but he's not associated with this case necessarily. If I'm not documenting it, it didn't happen. Adam Savage from the Mythbusters has that wonderful quote: the difference between just screwing around and science is writing things down. And truly, I mean, if you don't document, it didn't happen. And other people can't learn from that. All right. Other thoughts on this? Collaboration challenges or benefits, Stephen?
I was just going to follow on from what you were saying about note-taking.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the least glamorous parts of an OSINT investigation because it's boring. Like we just want to dive into the website.
No. We have lots of listeners that love documenting.
But if you, and this ties into long-term stuff even more than short-term, because you might have to explain what you did like 2, 3, 4 years after you did it. Like sometimes, and if you didn't take good contemporaneous notes and you haven't got good screenshots, or you have, can you look at your notes? Could you look at something you did 3 or 4 years ago and say, oh yeah, that was my chain of thought. That's of course. So actually spending the time taking the notes saves you lots of grief. I mean, to give you an example, I've left law enforcement now. I left this 6 months ago, but I started a case in pretty much 2 years ago this month, which is still going on. When I left 6 months ago, is still going on now. I will probably not see a courtroom for another year to 2 years. So someone at the end of that is going to have to go through all the notes from that time and say what they did and why they did it and what their thought process was and why they made this decision and not that decision. But if you didn't take good notes at the time, then you're going to have a bad time. So yeah, it's kind of an underrated skill, I think, good note taking for OSINT people.
Well, and for you, that might be extra challenging since you've now left law enforcement. You don't have access to your personal notes anymore. So, yeah, wow. Inesh, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was thinking that I understand the value, but there's still a lot of things that you can't put into writing. And for example, faces is one of them. It's getting better with face recognition, but it's still like your capability of looking at a face and saying, okay, I've seen this before. I'm sure I've seen this face before. And you're looking at this Facebook photo of a group and you've seen that face before. And the same happens with places, like the inside of a house. Like I remember a case where we had this inside of a living room, and I was like, I've seen that living room before. I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. And you can't put that into notes, as much as you should. And of course, that's like basic, but I think there's a lot of especially visual cues and like, yeah, I can't actually explain it, but it's something that still stays with us humans, and that it's really important. So when we're talking about collaboration and having like passing on work to the next person and all of that we need to do, it's still important to remember that there are things through an investigation that will stay with that person. And that when we are picking it up again, it's always like a good process to go through everything you found. If that person's still in the organization, or you can still show it to them, like, what do you think? What is this? Does this ring a bell? Because sometimes those small things will make a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's no way you can accurately document all of the things, even if you save all of the images. And, machine learning, we've had questions from listeners in the past. Well, what about AI? What about ML? Artificial intelligence and machine learning, they are great tools for doing certain things, but right now they're not the best at finding all of the things that we can store in our memories. And, having that memory trigger of that face, I've seen it somewhere, and being able to look through, like Technazet was saying, if you've recorded all the things, you can look back through all of your images that you've done and things. And so I kind of love that idea that you said, Anish, because it touches on Technazet stuff, it touches on Steven's stuff, where you got to document stuff while you're going through it, because you never know what's important in the end, right? I've had cases where I'm looking for a person, or I'm doing some research, and in the third month of an investigation, I see that face or hear a name or see a name, and I'm like, wait a second. And then I type it into my case management tool or my OneNote or my Google Doc, and it comes up that 3 weeks ago, that was the brother-in-law of the friend of the neighbor or something like that. I'm like, oh, and it changes the scope of the course of the investigation. So having those notes is really important to document, which is interesting, because a lot of our listeners, they do the CTFs. Stephen, you and I did the Try Hack Me CTF earlier in the week, and I mentioned the cool thing about doing a CTF is I don't have to document all the things. I don't have to take a picture of this screen and go, okay, this is this date and this time I saw this, getting those URLs. So that's another thing that I see as a challenge, is that people are jumping into open source intelligence without having that firm base in, I have to document all the things so that when I need to go back, it's there. Do you have the same feelings? I know that some of the things that people are mentioning in our chat are similar types of issues. Anything about that, Stephen?
Yeah. It's weird because we want to always improve the way we do OSINT, but at the same time, you don't want to put barriers there for people who are joining in and burden them with like the regulatory aspects of it. But one thing I like about Tracelabs actually is when you're submitting a finding on Tracelabs, obviously you have to have your screenshot, you have to have your URL, and you have to put a few lines to say why this is relevant to the missing person that you're trying to find. So I think as a kind of soft introduction to documentation, I think that's really, really good. But then you're right, sometimes it is when you're doing a CTF, you just sort of dive in, get your hands dirty, and don't worry about having to explain it to someone in 6 weeks' time. You just sort of do it.
Well, but some of the fun, Anish, you said this is like the passion of OSINT is you're on the case, you're pulling that investigative thread, and you're going from this to that and the other. And I've done it myself sometimes, you get caught up in it. And it also, this person's Instagram commented on that person's thing. And then from there, I looked at their friends, and from their friends, I now have this, and there's my target. And then somebody says, well, how did you get there again? I'm like,
That's why I always open every new thing I click on in a new tab. Because then I can figure my way out. Like I can go back by looking at all of the tabs I clicked.
And they're in chronological order then too, yes. Right? Okay. So that plus Hunchly sometimes. Okay.
Another important thing that you were saying, and it's also very relevant, is when do you notify people like that are working with you or whatever about your discoveries? Because in the beginning of my career, and I made this mistake so many times, I would be so excited about something like, oh my God, and I would immediately go, I found it. And then you realize, because only then you start looking properly and checking everything. And then I don't know, every 5 times, one of them, I would have made a mistake or something would be off. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I just said it. And now it's not him. And now it's gone. And this is also something that you learn with time, which is, okay, cool down.
Yeah.
Let's just first check how I got here. Let's just check everything's correct. And then when I have something really solid, I will write a report and I will send it over. Because sometimes you're with this rush and people are pressuring you from above. We need answers. And then it's something that can be serious because it's a person's life and everything. So that's another thing that was also a lesson for me.
So
yeah, I had exactly the same lesson. And what helps me as well is asking a colleague, hey, please look with me. This is what I've done. This is my conclusion. Do you think I'm right or wrong? Or do you think I missed anything? And what I really like with the people I closely work with is that they are not afraid to ask me, like, have you tried this? Have you not forgot about doing a mutual friends check on Facebook? Have you investigated their social circle on Twitter? Just asking me all of these questions to make sure that even the simplest thing I didn't oversee. So yeah, that really helps me too.
I think that's a very important piece of the overall pie, and why I love working with you three and the OSINT Curious project is that even though I recognize each one of you as an expert in the OSINT field and in other disciplines as well, you take your egos and you put them aside when you do your open source intelligence, when you do your work, and you're open to criticism and feedback and questioning, and you're constantly questioning yourselves. And is there a better way to do this? We have our own OSINT Curious Slack, and I keep seeing us sharing resources and learning from each other, because this is an ongoing process. Nobody can know all the things. Now, somebody actually has posted here. Let's see. Let's toss this up. Robin mentions, in relation to the documentation aspect, what are your opinions on transparency? So how important is it for you guys to document stuff for the sake of transparency? So have you thought about that? Like, is somebody else going to be reading what you're doing and kind of...
Yes.
Okay.
Well, in law enforcement, we need to be very precise about what we've done. So if I write a report about what I've done, it must be written in a way that if a lawyer would be handed over our criminal investigation and he would go read through it, he would be able to trace down all of my steps. So he would know what kind of Google searches search terms I've used exactly, like with all of the commas, with all of the Boolean operators and everything in there. Exactly explain the time, the date I've done my research, which links I clicked on, what came to my attention, what was most important, screenshots and everything. So for me, my reports need to be so complete that somebody else would be able to redo my investigation. And of course, there would be the whole, how do you say that, the Google filter bubble. So maybe the lawyer who would react my whole investigation would get different results than I would have gotten.
Yeah.
But the point is that he knew exactly what I was doing at that time. That's really important for me in law enforcement.
Okay. So one of the other questions that came up, and this is for Anesh, or talks about Anesh, is, what are some other things that beginners or entry-level analysts might do that others don't do? I can think of right off the bat, there are those logical fallacies and bias that people just haven't learned sometimes. And I remember working with junior open source intelligence analysts and even cybersecurity analysts too. This is not anything that's specific to the OSINT field. And we had cases where they're like, oh, I found this picture with this, or this person's email address is in that data breach. That means that they have to have an account there, and that means this, or this person's cheating on their spouse, or whatever, and just kind of making those logical, illogical jumps in their analyses. Are there other things that you all have noticed that junior analysts do that maybe we should caution them to slow down and validate, verify, do other things? Stephen?
Yeah, you kind of touched on it there, but it's that 2 and 2 makes 5 kind of thing. Like, oh, I found this bit, I found it. So this means, and when you rush to provide conclusions that your evidence doesn't support yet, because in real life we do that all the time, like, because you have to, like, that's just how the human brain works. But in investigations, sometimes you can make connections or draw conclusions that aren't there yet. That's a common mistake that you have to just learn by experience, I guess. And sometimes some painful experience. But yeah.
Okay, so trying to avoid logical fallacies and all. There are actually training courses, and there's some great resources out there, like the First Draft News and some other places have data validation and verification handbooks for journalists that are very useful for helping us to understand how they look at information and data and how they record it. So I think you can train them, but right out of the gate, yeah, a lot of people just do those. Well, this is how I interpret the world. Technizette, you were going to say something too, right?
Yes, I was trying to my unmute button. I was in a different tab. Sorry, I was looking up investigative handbook for you to put into the chat, but. Yeah, jumping to the conclusions, again, for law enforcement, it's really important that we do not say, hey, we know this is, like, for example, if you find a Twitter account which has the same name of your target, but it doesn't have the picture. Most of the things seem to, like, they are the same. Maybe they live in the same town, or they like the same soccer club, for example. But you cannot say this is his Twitter account until we have more evidence. Because if there would be a photo in there and we see that the photo matches their passport photo, for example, then there's a more certainty to it. Although there's still the opportunity that somebody created their profile for them, maybe to falsely, how do you say it, impersonate somebody.
Okay.
So we always have to state, well, this Twitter account had the same name as our target. I cannot say this is the Twitter account of my target unless I have more information to validate it with. For example, connected phone number or email address, which can only be gathered via a subpoena when it comes to me. So jumping to conclusions and actually writing them out, I think can be quite dangerous. So you always have to take into caution, do I really know 100% sure that this is indeed correct, what I'm stating? If there is any percentage of chance that there might be somebody else involved, or it might be somebody else's account, for example, just be sure to always write, well, I see this account, it has the same name as my target, I see it also likes the same soccer club, period. Do not say, well, I think this could be his account or something, if you're not completely 100% sure.
Putting those impressions, your interpretations into your notes can be very challenging if you have something that might go to court or something like that. And sticking to the facts are very.
I like Edmund's comment, by the way, the ABC: assume nothing, believe nothing, check everything.
Okay, assume nothing. So wouldn't that be ANBNCE? But that doesn't. I think ABC works better. But yeah. I mean, really, and the always be checking is what I say for ABC, is because everything that we find nowadays, even more, if you're relying on social media or you're relying on whatever source out there, you need to strive to validate and verify everything, because even those trusted sources can have bad information or disinformation in them. We've talked about that on the show several times. You have to check everything. Inesh, were you going to say something?
Yeah, so I was thinking about like transparency and common mistakes. With transparency, I feel that especially with our research at university where I work where we do a lot of political disinformation work, and that's usually targeted by like people that don't agree to the conclusions that we get to. So then we have to be as transparent as possible. So we just put everything, like all the screenshots, all the data, just there in a file, so that there's no way that people still say it, but at least we know that it's there for anyone to validate and check. When you're working with classified data, as I did before, and especially because we didn't have any criminal power, so it was just for advisory and to support decisions, then I think it's a different reality. But one thing that I would point out is, I would say that very often the problem is not with OSINT analysts themselves, who will write just a Technisette say, this Twitter account has the same name as a, and they also like the same football club and they are from the same town. So there's a high probability that it will be the same person because it's a very uncommon name. And this is usually what an analyst will write. But then sometimes, or usually, this bias doesn't exist just in the analyst. That will probably be aware of it and cautious about it. But the problem is that document will go then up and up the chain. And sometimes it gets to a person that will just read, this is a Twitter account of the person. And sometimes bad decisions are made, not because of what's in the initial report or in the initial assessment, but because people who are making decisions usually are not that very often confronted by people who don't agree with them because they're in a higher position, will have a higher bias and will probably just read exactly what they want to read. So if there's anyone out there that's in the top hierarchical position in their company or organization, never forget to get people around you who contradict you and will tell you what they think, because you will lose that. You know, it's, if I was in that position, I would probably lose it myself. But then you lose that, you know, awareness of that bias because nobody else around you will tell you that you have it.
Yeah. Putting your ego on a shelf is, or just taking that and being open to criticism. Let's just put it in a more positive fashion, is extremely important for us to make sure that we have the best products for our customers. You know, whether it's somebody that's new, I've learned to accept feedback from everybody and anybody, because it's that new person on the team that just got into OSINT, that just trying out this new tool, that may have that bit of data or that lead or that connection that we need. And if you maximize all of your resources by listening to everybody and treating their data as something that's useful, your investigations will go so much better, and you become a better person as well. I know it's a little lofty, but so I just want to say a couple of things. Gang, we can continue this conversation until we're done. There's nothing that says we have to stop in an hour. But for those of you that are just joining us or have been with us for a while, we are the OSINT Curious Project, and we are talking about open source intelligence techniques, tools, processes, and other things that impact the field. We have a great group of listeners on board as well. And in the chat on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, I've placed in there some of the resources that TechNazet has pulled up. Thank you, TechNazet, for bringing those into our conversation. Stephen, you've been pretty quiet over there.
Have I? I was so caught up in listening to what Ines and TechNazet were saying. I'm like, oh, it's educational. I should participate sometime.
Yeah,
it's really, really interesting. And another thing you mentioned that feeds into what we were discussing earlier about collaboration and bias is one of the downsides I've sometimes found about working in groups, and especially sometimes with newer people, is we put emphasis on intelligence because it's our intelligence. So like, I found this, therefore this is what we should focus on because it's the most important. And yeah, that it's kind of a form of bias that only comes in during group work. I think is unique to that, but this is important because I found it and I want to overemphasize it. That's can be a challenge sometimes too.
What I find is more the opposite. When working in a group, especially this was before I did OSINT, and this was more in the cyber realm. Somebody would find a big break in a case or a cybersecurity assessment we're doing, and they would go ahead and say, "Hey, I found this." And what would happen is that the other members of the team would stop working on what they were doing, which was equally as important as everybody else. And they would go, "Oh, something shiny over there." And now they're working on what this person did because they want some of that excitement, that glory or whatever. Yeah, I think it is the excitement part, because much of what we're doing is we're running queries, we're looking at the results, we're documenting, we're running queries, we're looking at results, we're documenting. It's not flashing until you get that aha moment. And when you do, sharing that with your team can be great. And it can also be distracting to them because they're like, well, that seems like it's producing more work. Let me go ahead over here and do that. Have you all experienced that too, or is it just the teams that I work on?
Yeah, sometimes it is something that's new and shiny and sensational, and is often the right way to go, and it's often the right answer. But then sometimes that can flip on its head, and because it's so new and exciting, you can become fixated on one thing and ignore the other things sometimes. But yeah, it depends on what you're researching, I guess.
Okay.
I was also thinking about how there's the group bias as well, and that's also a very it happens.
Can you explain more about that? What do you mean by group
bias? I remember in my team it happening in one case there that we had this person where everyone was quite convinced that he was dangerous, and I interviewed him for we did this op where I was like HR, and I just got this gut feeling that he wasn't dangerous, that he wasn't he was just confused. But everyone was so convinced, and I was I was young, and I was in a briefing, and I was just, yeah, he is. And eventually we got to the point that we found out that he wasn't. And I just felt like, okay, my fault. But it's very difficult when you're in a room, especially if you're new to the group or new to the job, or you're not that if everyone says that something should be or should go in this direction, if you don't have a clear scientific evidence, if it's a more subjective issue, it's very difficult to trust that instinct and say, okay, I got the different feeling or the different vibe. And I mean, of course, you don't want to create problems all the time, but it's very important that if you do have it, that you express it, even if it's to your supervisor or something. It's like, okay, probably, maybe I'm wrong because everyone feels the other way around, but I have to tell everyone that I felt the other way around, because this happens a lot, because maybe 3 or more people in this group had the same feeling, but because 2 or 3 really strong members started saying, yeah, this is the way, then it just creates a cycle where everyone just, So this is something we should do.
And I know this is a hard thing for me to say, or an easy thing for me to say, and hard to actually be in practice, but I always strive to put myself on a team where people will listen to everybody else on the team, whether it's the new person, like you said, Anish, that has that gut feeling of, I don't think we're on the right case or right track with this, or whether it's other people, and allowing all of the different team members to have their own say before we go ahead and choose a course of action. Whether, like I said, it's that grizzled older person with all the experience, or the expert in the social media platform, or whether it's just that new person. Everybody's opinions and everybody's thoughts and experiences come into play to make our teams better, provided that you then find the factual evidence to support whatever you're looking. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are probably at a good time for us to go ahead and say goodnight to our European counterpart and teammates, whatever. Maybe it's time for me to go to sleep too. I don't know, maybe afternoon nap over here in America. Technazette, thank you for being here. Nash, thank you. Stephen, thank you for being here and sharing your expertise with everybody. Anything you want to say, Nash?
No, thank you very much. And it was really nice chat. And it's dinner time here. So that's what we'll do next.
All right. So everybody to Nesh's house for dinner. Technazette, anything else?
No.
Okay.
Can't think of anything. Love to chat again today.
Yeah, it was good talking with you. Thanks for being here. And Stephen?
It's been a pleasure once again. I really enjoyed it. And I look forward to next time already.
Sounds good. So our next live stream is in 2 weeks, and our next full week of streaming at 1300 UTC will be in March 15th through the 19th. Put it on your calendars, or watch us on our website, osintcurio.us, or any one of our wonderful OSINT Curious accounts. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And thank you to our wonderful audience for being here. We are OSINT Curious, and I want everybody to stay OSINT Curious. What about you all? Stay OSINT Curious? Do you agree?
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.